name is Sam. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager here at Fairygodboss. And Fairygodboss is the largest career community for women. Our mission is to improve the workplace by increasing transparency, and we offer a ton of great free resources like anonymous company reviews, job listings, articles, virtual recruiting events, and so much more to help you succeed throughout your career. Before we get started, we will be taking questions at the end of today's webinar. You can leave them in the Q&A feature. Again, you'll find that at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And you can leave questions as yourself or anonymously, and we'll get to as many as we have time for. We're also recording today's session, and we will be sending it out in a follow-up email later today, along with Tracy's contact info. So if you have any questions or anything like that, you'll be able to rewatch this back and get in touch with her later. Here with me today is Tracy Tim. Tracy is the founder of the Nth Degree Career Academy and has a degree in behavioral psychology from Yale and studied design thinking with the founder of the D School at Stanford. She left a successful but unsatisfying career in finance, traveled once around the world on semester at sea, and discovered her ideal career. Now she's living her dream as a sought-after career clarity expert, organizational advisor, speaker, and author, and leads you through the Nth Degree process, a proven step-by-step strategy to achieve total career clarity. Thank you so much for being here today, Tracy. Over to you.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I've been looking forward to this for so long, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I just want to honor everybody making the commitment to show up today, because if you're anything like me, you are a bit burned out from digital meetings, from living and breathing on Zoom all day long. And so this is huge that you're here and you're here to invest in yourself. And I'm going to do everything I can to make the next 50, 60 minutes the best time that you've spent on yourself and your career in a long time. So I'm so honored and excited that you're going to take this journey with me. And without any further ado, let's get started. So welcome. This is going to be a masterclass on the steps that it takes to take your career from stuck to unstoppable by getting absolute career clarity. So I know that if you are a Fairygodboss member, VIP, reader, listener, then you are internally a boss. And this is going to help bring out that inner boss in you, because the level of clarity that we have speaks directly to our level of confidence and then our level of certainty in our career. And when we can show up with more confidence and certainty, we can achieve at an even higher level. So that's what we're going to get into today. Like I said, I've really been looking forward to working with Fairygodboss because I love what this stands for. I love the idea of all of us being people who elevate women at work. If you didn't know that, that's on the homepage, friends. And I'm just so excited to be, for this hour, one of those people who hopefully can elevate you to the next level in your career. So whether you're stuck because you're miserable, you're stuck because you're tolerating your job, you're stuck because you kind of like it, but you know you're made for more, today is going to be the day where you can go to the next level in your career clarity, in your career confidence, and your career certainty. So before we get into the good stuff, meaning step 1, step 2, step 3, which I know you're itching for, because I know you're a lot like me, you're a go-getter, and you want to get right into the steps, I want to check in and see where you are mentally real quick, because if I'm going to spend 45 minutes, 50 minutes on a webinar, I want to know that it's a really good use of my time. So here's how to know that you're in the right place. If these aren't you, you may not be in the right place, and that's okay. But if they are, you've definitely come to the right place for some clarity and for some resources. So maybe you've had some career success, but your steps have been, let's call it, more responsive than they have been proactive. Or maybe you've seen some opportunities come up and you've just reacted to those circumstances as opposed to really being proactive about your next step in your career. So if this is you, I want you to type yes into the chat. I'm going to encourage you guys to engage in the chat pretty frequently throughout this conversation together. Yes. And when you own what you're going through, other people can see that they're not alone. So the more that they see yes, the more that they know that it isn't just them, that this is something everybody's going through together. Or maybe you tolerate what you do professionally. That's the number one response we get when we ask people how they feel about their jobs. They tolerate what they're doing. Or you get paid well, but you're just not engaged. Maybe you're not fulfilled with the work that you're doing, and that's why you're here. Ooh, career checkers. That was clever. I like it. All right. Or maybe you've got a sense of being made for more, wanting to do something different, but you're just not sure what that is. Like you look out in the world and you know it's out there, but you don't have the clarity of exactly what it is. Or my personal favorite with what everything is going on in the world, maybe you've recognized through the virus and taking a breath and having your routine disrupted that you need to rethink your core values and rethink your career path. But it's a really complex and daunting challenge, and you're not exactly sure how to approach figuring out what your next step is in your career. Yes, need clarity and know there's more to do and be. Yes, that's why we're here. So if you think now might be the ideal time for you to take charge of your career path, to be proactive, to be intentional, then again, this is going to be a really strong time for us to give you the tools and the strategies that you need to move forward in your career and really to finally get that clarity that you've been seeking and looking for perhaps your whole life. Yes, yes. Perfect. Okay, so this is what I'm going to walk you through today. It's literally the step-by-step process or plan that is going to help you discover and define work you love. That doesn't require you to move back in with your parents, that doesn't require you to quit the job you currently have, and all of this without ever looking at a job board, speaking to a recruiter, or updating your resume. And even if you have no idea what it is that you really want to do. And I know that might sound crazy, but it works. These steps actually work. And once you have these insights and you apply them to your life, we get the opposite of everything that we were just talking about. You'll be able to see why you don't have to trade income for impact. You don't have to have that fear that work is binary, but you can actually have a personally meaningful career and make great money at the same time. How great would that be, right? You'll realize that that out of control feeling you have about your career and your professional life was an illusion, that you can actually become more successful by deviating from what society has told you that success looks like your entire life. And you'll understand how your career and your life really fit together so that you never have to sacrifice your mental and your physical health, and you can become the best version of yourself, both at home and at work. I know so many women that I work with really want to show up better. They want to be better spouses and better moms and better community members. And for us, that almost always starts with your career. And you'll be able to make really big time career decisions. This is the really fun one. One of these steps is going to actually feel like you have a career easy button. Like you can literally look at all of your options out in the world and be like, yes, that's for me, or yes, that is not for me, and move on to the next option and the next opportunity. So listen, I know what you're thinking. I get it. Like, Tracy, nothing about this is easy. If it were easy, I would have done it already, right? If it were easy, everybody would be living in their genius zone. If it were easy, everybody would be functioning at their highest possible level. And I hear you. It's not that it's particularly easy, it's that there's a recipe that we're not using. So this isn't a quick fix scheme. I'm not just going to like wave my magic fairy wand, right, and tell you exactly what your dream job is. I'm going to give you a way to figure that out at every evolution of your life, so that if you learn this process, if you master these 5 steps that we're going to go through today, then you're going to have a way to fish for yourself in the future. So it's not that I'm going to tell you the magic answer, but I'm going to give you the actual step-by-step process to know your answer, not just now, but at the next evolution in your life and the next evolution in your life. Okay. No. Oh, Jill, you are so not alone, girlfriend. Yes. So this is how I discovered this recipe. And before we get into step 1, I just want to give you a little bit of background so that you know where I'm coming from and why these steps really work. So Sam referenced this. I personally quit a job that looked very successful socially, but made me feel miserable in real life. I worked on Wall Street for the first couple of years of my career, and that was even with a degree in psychology, believe it or not. And I left that job when I was at my wit's end, and I spent about the next 2 years really trying to figure out who I really was. Who was the real Tracy? What was I good at? What were my skills? What was my knowledge? What were my gifts? And I figured out a kind of bit of what my clarity was, but I was still tweaking it. I was still working on it. So I spent the next 3 years working with high potential professionals and with large companies in a human capital advisory role. And it was through those 3 years and now the ensuing 5 that I was able to see that if you work each person through each of these steps, what you actually have is a formula or a framework for clarity, thus confidence and certainty, and thus sustainable success. Because all of you know, right, that there is success that we can have at any cost. And then there is sustainable success that we can endure and maintain for the long haul. And what we're trying to figure out here is what's that ideal career for you so you can be successful for the long term sustainably. Yes, Bree, that does mean we can apply these same steps every time we evolve. And if you will formulate a question for me, I will totally talk about how to do that at the very end. But before we go on the how, I want to get really clear on the what. So what I realized recently is that if you and I want to like bake a cake, or let's say we need to jump our car, because I don't know about you guys, that happens to me all the time. I have to jump my car. We would never just throw a bunch of ingredients in a bowl and toss it into the oven and like hope that a cake would come out. And we would certainly never just grab some wires and start plugging into our car, trying to figure out what's going to jump it. But how many of us, type yes into the chat if this is you, how many of us are trial and erring our career? How many of you are going, I'll try this and maybe it'll work. I'll try that and maybe it'll work. I'll try this and maybe it'll work. And nowhere else in our life would we do that. Nowhere else in our life would we do that, right? If you want to bake a cake, you look up a recipe. If you want to jump your car, go to YouTube, but you would never just try and see what works. And so today is the recipe day. There is a recipe. It is the 5 steps I'm going to give you that will finally help you look beyond what's not working in your career and give you a clear path to discover and define work that you love. So can I get a drum roll, please? Are we ready? Let's get into step 1. All right, step 1 is going to be the collective heavy sigh from the group, okay? And I totally understand, but we have to do step 1 first. We have to do first things first before we can get into the juicy, meaty, what steps can we take to move forward. Step number 1 is to take absolute ownership of your career. Now I get this because I'm very much like you guys. I fancy myself a high potential and an overachiever and yada, yada, yada. So I know what you're thinking. I know you just want me to do that voodoo mind trick where you're like, Tracy, just give me what's the cheat sheet or what's the exact, just tell me what the job is and I'll go do it. I mean, I've prayed those prayers. Just tell me what it is and I'll go do it. But the reality is, and I know this from 6 years now of working with high potential professionals, is that I can hand deliver this step-by-step system. I can tell them exactly what to look at in their career to figure out their next step. But if it doesn't work up here, if you subconsciously or consciously don't believe that this will ever work for you, that someone else is ultimately responsible for your success, that something is standing in your way that you don't have control over, then this will never work. Because this is what's going on. Like if you feel like you're doing all the right things, but you're still not seeing progress and you're just hoping that things will change. I hear this on a daily basis. I'm just going to keep working at it and hopefully something will happen. Maybe something will jump out of a job board at, my screen at me and now I'll know my dream job. This is the mechanism that's at play. There's something going on internally where you haven't yet taken ultimate control and ownership of your career in every step. And I'll tell you what, there's no better time ever than this pandemic to show us that we own our careers, even in crisis, even in circumstances that are outside of our control. If we want to continue to be successful, we have to take responsibility and ownership for the next step. In all the work that I've done with these crazy, cool, amazing, vibrant women, successful people, they all have a deep commitment to ownership and responsibility for their careers. And you may already have this and you're just going to double down on it in this moment, but ask yourself the tough question today. Am I waiting around for success to happen to me, or am I actually taking action and pursuing it proactively? So one of the people that I learned this from, really incredible mentor of mine, his name is Jeff Hoffman. You might know Jeff as the co-founder of Priceline. I met him on Semester at Sea. So this is what I did after I ran away from Wall Street. And he was doing a fireside chat. And one of the things that he said about leaving his first job really hit home. It just really resonated with me. He said, I was always afraid of the alternative. I knew for sure if I did nothing differently, I was literally going to rot in the cubicle that I was in. If I did nothing differently, I could already draw out the next 20, 30 years of my life looking exactly the same. And I just couldn't live with that. And that hit me in the gut, right? Like that's exactly how I was feeling when I was working on Wall Street. I saw the future. I saw the thing I didn't want to happen. And I was more afraid of staying there than I was leaving. And what he told us in that moment was living a good life, leading a good life, career, et cetera. It's your individual decision. It is not some nice chicken soup for the soul idea. It's that our progress in life on anything, our careers, our relationships, et cetera, are a direct result of the choices that we make. And sometimes it's choices that we feel like we don't have control over, or we don't get a choice. Like we have to stay in a job because we're afraid of leaving. Maybe it's our own expectations or somebody else's expectations. And maybe it's spending hours doing things that make you feel like you're being productive, when in reality, we're not moving the needle at all. And that makes us feel even more anxious. There was a time I was on the Acela train from DC to New York, and I decided to look at job boards for 3 hours, and I ended up sucking my thumb and rocking back and forth in the back of the train because everything was so overwhelming. There's so many choices, but so underwhelming because nothing felt like me. And I was just hoping that something was going to leap out of the screen. And that's not how clarity works. It doesn't just hit us over the head one day. So this is your big, heavy question for today. It's the only time I'm going to give you the tough love, hopefully. If not you, who? Is the question. If not you, who? If you want a successful career that you love, you cannot simply rely on the career conveyor belt or the promise of success to get you there, no matter your degree, no matter your background, no matter your history. We have to be constantly making proactive progress towards discovering our purpose, not just hoping and praying for the promise of success. So again, like I said, tough love is wrapping up here, and we're going to wrap up with an example of how this is going to work for you. The reality of all this is you and I and all of us are given constant opportunities on a nearly daily basis. There are things that fall in our lap all the time, or there are things that we work hard towards that could become opportunities. But how we receive them mentally, meaning how we view them as possible or impossible, is directly related to whether or not you feel like you have the agency to or permission, right, to make a positive change in your life. Do you feel like you're capable of doing that? And if you subconsciously believe for whatever reason that you're not meant to succeed, or that deviating from your career path, this was the big one that held me back. I would be disappointing other people. I'd be disappointing my parents. I'd be disappointing my degree from Yale, right? If I left this great job that so many other people would want, what does that say about me? So of course I could never figure out what I wanted to do, because everything I looked at just confirmed the bias that was already in my head. So you absolutely must have a success mindset and an actual system or a plan for dealing with. And then again, this is why this is evolutionary. Fears always come up. Other people's doubts always come up. Your doubts will always come up. And if you don't have a mindset and a plan or a process to help you through that, it's really easy to get stuck in it. So I wanted to just introduce you to Sam. This is so funny. She was literally my very first client ever. I met Sam like 6 years ago. And she was rotting away in finance. She'd been there for 10 years. And her solution was, I'm just going to look at job boards. I'm going to hope the answer will jump out of the screen at me. I'm going to wait to prioritize myself until someone else says it's okay. And she never really said that out loud, but finally, after 5 weeks of working together, she did. She said, Tracy, I realized after this step-by-step process that I've been waiting for somebody to tell me it's okay. I've been waiting for somebody to make it okay for me to prioritize my own life and my own career. And the outcome was she got 2 competing job offers that she pitted against one another, got the one she really wanted, got paid more money, and she was super happy. And she literally sent me this email afterwards. And the thing that really resonated with me was how confident she felt. She said, I know the skills and I understand my goals and values, strengths and weaknesses. I have a holistic understanding of myself. I speak more confidently. I have comprehensive answers because I know the areas in which I'm able to shine. And that is what I want for you guys. That's what these next 4 steps are going to be about. It's going to be discovering those areas where you shine the best, but you can't fully own and embrace them until you take responsibility and ownership for yourself and you give yourself permission to pursue your ideal career. So the reason that I hammer this home is because this is the most important foundational step. So what you're going to type into the chat right now, I invite you, if this is speaking to you, if this is resonating with you, Give yourself an affirmation. Type into the chat, I will pursue my ideal career. Or I give myself permission to pursue my ideal career. Or I won't stop until I find my ideal career. Whatever speaks to you, whatever affirmation makes sense, because this is your moment to take ownership. And if you're out there and you're going, Tracy, this is cheesy. I can't believe I'm doing this. I get it. But look at all the women who are brave enough to do this. Look at all the women who are going through exactly what you're going through. You can do this. You can give yourself permission. Do it in this moment. If you've never done it before, do it for all the other ladies on this call, because this is the moment where you can step out and feel like you're not alone, where you can help other people feel like they're not alone. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. This is fantastic. I will give myself permission. Yes, Susan. Yes. Maureen, love it. Oh, ladies, thank you so much for that. I get a little choked up. Maybe I'm a little too emotional, but I love this. You have to prioritize yourself, and you have to put yourself first in this moment, and you have to commit to this area for any of these other steps to take hold and to make sense. Yes. Yes, queens. Okay, let's move on to step number 2. So this is really the first step in crafting your clarity around your ideal career. So step number 2 is commit to your core values. And I just want to frame this as we go through these next 4 steps. I'm going to be throwing a lot at you. If you couldn't tell already, I talk really fast and I like to get a lot out all at once. So what I'm going to be giving you are the step-by-step processes to do this. We're not going to do it in real time. So I want you to be taking notes so you can go back and you can do this process by yourself or with us later. Okay. So I know that this seems slightly counterintuitive, because the last thing that we want to do when we don't feel clear and we don't feel certain is to like make a big commitment. We don't want to set anything in stone. We want to stay open to what's possible, right? So this is something you want to listen to carefully, because you're going to maybe have to release some of the thinking that got you where you are now, but isn't going to allow you to live in an ideal niche type of space. Okay. If you're not already committing to you, meaning committing to your values in a really serious, decisive way, it's probably for one of 2 reasons. The first is, like me, you're probably under the impression that you have to stay open to everything, right? Like, what if I miss something? You know, what if I miss one of those possibilities out there? Or maybe I'm being too picky, right? We ladies, we say that all the time. Maybe I'm being too picky. Or you think that, okay, yes, aligning my career with my values makes sense. I can be really decisive around this, this, and this, but you're pretty sure you're going to be left with like 0 options on the shelf. You know, you're asking for way too much. You're asking for kids, and you're asking for your time with your spouse, and you're asking for a vacation, and you're asking for money, and you're asking for a job you love. And that can't exist anywhere, right? I get it. But the insight here is that even when you feel like you're not choosing or you don't have a choice, you are always choosing, because every decision we make in life speaks to a value. What do you value or not value? And the question you want to ask yourself right now is, what are my decisions saying about what I value? Right? So if you were to compare your career choices and your actions and then what you say you value, would they align? This is just a really honest question. Would they align? For a lot of us, the answer is sadly no, right? I really value time with my family, and yet my job consistently keeps me away from them. I really value my faith, let's say, and consistently my job's having me work on weekends and special, holidays, and I can't do that anymore, right? Those are value-based decisions in our life and our career. So even if you feel like you have no choice, you do, because you are choosing even when you feel like you're not. And successful people who have sustainable success, they create careers that align with those values, and they do not compromise, because they know compromising would lead to something that is unsustainable, right? Whew. We're just blowing up over here. And by setting your values in advance of making choices, you simplify the decision-making process. Meaning, if you already know what you stand for and an opportunity comes your way, you can very easily and quickly vet it and say yes or no. And this exponentially increases your chances of long-term success. So what really matters to you? Core values are not just a nice to have. They're not just something at a company that sits up on the wall. They're for you. They shouldn't just be something you write down and never look at again throughout the rest of the year. When you take the time to define your core values, you actually illuminate that which matters the most to you, that which is going to give you the most fulfilling and enjoyable life. Joy. Yay, right? When was the last time you had some fun at work? Then you can go deeper than what's not working in your career, and you can figure out why you feel the way you feel. Because I guarantee you, if you're out there and you feel mismatched or misaligned with your career, you're probably asking yourself, why? What's missing? Why don't I feel good about what I'm doing every day? I get paid well, or the work is good, or whatever. What's wrong with me? I get it. Your values are the key to the answer. And when you know them and you choose them, work and decisions become less stressful and become more authentic. So, if you're taking notes, this is my 5-step core value discovery process. Okay. So, step 1 is you want to do a brain dump of everything that matters. This should take about 10 minutes. 10 minutes of just get it all out there and don't censor yourself. The last time I did this, I literally was like, I like warm kitten cuddles and I want to have a bar where the bartender knows my name and knows my order. And to me, the values were belonging and love and abundance. And then the other one was like feeling like I belong in a place, feeling like somebody knows me, like I put down roots, which was really odd for me because I'm a bit of a nomad. So don't censor yourself, just everything that matters come out. Then second step is you want to fill in the gaps by looking at a list of core values. So literally go to corevalueslist.com. That's the one I use, and read through 500 or so core values and ask yourself, which of these really work for me? Which of these really resonate with me? And that should take another 20 minutes. Then you want to group your values. By then you'll probably have 50, 100, 150 words. And you want to start grouping them into similar categories until you have about 10 or less. And this should take about 30 minutes. So if you've got like health and well-being and wellness and strength and maybe all of those bundle up into one specific core value, and you give that core value a name. You can name it health and well-being, or you can name it like I did, Grace Kelly, or you can name it whatever really resonates with you. Okay. Then I want you to take a nap, like walk away from it. Just go away from it for a little while, clear your head. And when you come back, I want you to finalize your top 10. Meaning, okay, we have 10 or so categories. Now I want you to put them in order. What's the most important? What's the second most important? And create a waterfall for yourself. Okay, that's the 5-step process. Now, the most important part about this, caution, don't stop at core values. Don't just put this up on the wall and be like, yes, the next time an opportunity comes my way, I know my values. You want to create commitments. So a value is I value freedom. A commitment is I will not work weekends, or I will commit to a remote working environment, or I will have a flexible work schedule. I will not have FaceTime be a part of my work. Those are commitments that speak to a value, and they are so much stronger because when you have commitments, then when something comes your way, making a decision and evaluating your options is so natural and easy. This is the easy button that I talked about before. Yes, corevalueslist.com. It's I should create my own. I haven't, but there's 500 of them there. It's really great. Then you can remove the guessing game. Like, can you imagine if an opportunity fell in your lap and you could just immediately evaluate it based on your core values and remove all the emotion, remove all the momentary feelings, remove all the shiny distractions. And all of a sudden it's a clear yes or a clear no, right? That's it. It takes all of the worry and the stress away from making decisions in the moment. It's a really beautiful process. It gives you the foundation for freedom, for a career and a life you love that doesn't require sacrifice. Let me say that again, that doesn't require sacrifice. So when you finally commit to this life, you may think that what you have now is good, but what you have in that light, when you're not giving any of your core values away for success, looks infinitely better. A good example of this is one of our previous clients, Vivian. She was amazing. She was such a boss. She had this great job on paper, very reputable company, really high powered, but she knew that something was wrong, something was missing. She just didn't know what or why. And it was the core values exercise that gave her a clear vision of, I need X, Y, and Z. And even though she had an amazing job, she wasn't getting X, Y, and Z. And so the result was that she made a big shift. She landed in a job that completely aligned with her values. She's still a boss. She's still making great money, but she couldn't be happier. She feels aligned with the work that she does every day. And that's what I want for you guys. That's what this core values into commitments. Remember, don't just stop at values, make commitments is all about. All right. We're about halfway through our time together, ladies, and I'm so glad to have you here. I'm checking in with everybody to make sure you're still good, staying hydrated, staying focused. In this step, though, I want you to get out your cell phone because we have a little challenge that we're going to do here in about 4 to 5 minutes. So step number 3 is don't play any game, play your best game. This is something I've observed in all of the high potential overachiever, yada, yada, yadas that I've ever worked with. We get stuck in our careers because we're operating off of somebody else's definition of success. And this happens because we get really used to playing that game over and over and over again to be successful. The game is linear. When you're in elementary school, A's are winning. When you're in middle school, A's are winning. When you're in high school, A's are winning. When you're in college, A's are winning. We have linear yardsticks for success our entire life until we get to our career. And then all of a sudden, success is this big thing that's different for everybody, but we're all operating off of everybody else's definition because we don't know our own. And the real problem is that, as Einstein says, everyone is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life feeling stupid. How many of you feel like a fish climbing a tree right now? That was Tracy on Wall Street. If that's you, type yes into the chat, right? It's like, I could work harder, but is that going to make any effort? Is that going to make anything really that much better? Probably not, because a fish is not made to climb a tree. And no matter how hard a fish works, it's not going to be as successful as something that was made to climb a tree. That's what we're getting at here, is if you feel like a cow in the ocean next to a dolphin swimming around and just trying to get by every single day, and no matter how hard you work, dolphins are going to swim circles around you because they're made for that environment. It is so exhausting, Nichole. You're exactly right. I love this picture. At best, you're only going to be mediocre. Exactly. This career clarity is not about something you can do to get by. This is about what we can do to live and operate at our best and highest level. So what does that mean? It means the world's most successful, fulfilled, impactful people who are changing lives, changing the world, doing cool things, making great money. They're living in their genius zone. They're not operating off of salary or status or shiny objects or what other people care about. They know themselves, and they've put themselves in an environment to be successful. So when you want to identify your unique niche, we've got to know what your natural working environment is first, instead of what most of us do, which is looking at job boards or looking at descriptions and going, do I fit that? Do I fit into this pre-existing set of job requirements? And it never feels quite right. You know, it's that proverbial square peg in a round hole situation, because your unique genius is not going to fit in any particular set of job requirements. And it makes us feel bad, even though there is a place where our genius does fit. I mean, this is the strategy for avoiding overwhelm and for creating absolute career clarity. Now, let me be clear, and don't get me wrong, your natural career environment is not the, oh, you never work a day in your life because you love your job. The reality is that I work 10 times harder at the job I have now because it matters to me. I love it. I'm better at it. I care about it. You will work harder, faster, and stronger than you've ever worked in your life. But that is the key to high levels of success. And when you're in your natural environment, you have a better chance of succeeding at a higher level because you're already made for that environment. You don't have to turn yourself inside out to be successful, which I know a lot of us are doing. So this is my favorite example of succeeding at a high level. I love Olympians. I find them fascinating. These two gentlemen, I happen to choose men, and for that in this moment, I now apologize. But they're my two favorite examples because Michael Phelps has the most gold medals of anyone in swimming, and Usain Bolt is just as successful in his own event, running track, right? And both of these are incredible athletes. But if we switched them, right, if we put Usain Bolt in the pool and Michael Phelps in the track, maybe they could beat us lay people who aren't quite as physically fit as they are, but they will never get as many gold medals as they would in their event, in the event that their bodies were made for, in the event that their mindsets were made for, in the event that their giftings are centered around. So that's what I want for you ladies, is your gold medal level profession. Your gold medal level profession, not your silver, not your bronze, not your tolerating, but what you can do at your best and highest level. So this is how we identify your natural gifts in our business. We are pretty assessment heavy. I think that's really important, to get as many assessments as possible and then to turn that information into insights. But then we also have a little challenge for you today that we're going to give you a taste of. So the first assessment that I really like, if you're taking notes, is predictive index. It measures your behavioral drives and your motivating needs. The next one I like is High Five Strengths, which is a little bit like StrengthsFinder. It's just free. So if you want to find a free test online to do your natural strengths and skills, go with High Five. If you want to pay for one and get the book, then StrengthsFinder is great. And then I love 16 Personalities. That business has put together a beautiful website with tons of information. You can get info on your workplace habits, your ideal career, romantic relationships, everything. But one of my personal favorite exercises for figuring out your natural gifts is actually leveraging the people in your life who know you really well. So this is going to be an FGB live challenge. So get out your phones. Okay. I see you. It's okay. I'm going to get mine out too. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to leverage the people in your life who know you and know your strengths better than you know them. We call this the personal mirror effect or the personal mirror exercise. So what I want you to do right now is get out your phone and you're going to text 3 people this one question. What are my 3 greatest strengths? What are my 3 greatest strengths? And I'm going to do it with you so that I'm going to walk the walk. Okay. What are my 3 greatest strengths? Strengths is hard to spell, isn't it? All right. What are my 3 greatest strengths? Now I'm going to copy it and I'm going to send it to this person that I trust. And I'm going to send it to this person that I trust. And if you want to tell them it's for a webinar, fine. If that makes you feel better, that's all good. It's for a webinar in real time. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit here for a minute and, oh, I got one back. Okay. So well, you know what? I'm going to totally throw her under the bus. This one's from my mom. So it says performance under pressure, public speaking, and perseverance. Oh, that's so sweet. I misspelled performance. Don't judge me. Oh, I only sent that to the panelists. What's wrong with me? Send to everybody. Oop. Performance under pressure, public speaking, and perseverance. Oh, this is amazing. All right, Christina got, I am a people person, handles stress well, and extremely organized. Joanne, strengths are planning, organizing, reliable. That's amazing, Joanne. I could use more of that. Oh, loving, loyal, and crafty. Very nice. So you guys see how other people see our strengths. When we do this internally in our business, they're coming, Emma, don't you worry. When we do this in our business, what I love is that we actually have our clients do this 25 times with 25 different people. And what we find is that actually, on average, our clients don't get more than 5 different responses. And what that tells me is that when we show up at our best, when we're living in our strengths, we're actually operating very consistently in the world. So when you're at your best at home, when you're at your best at work, when you're at your best with your friends, you show up the same. You show up strong. You show up clear. And our friends are really good at telling us what our strengths are, even when we aren't really good at them. Patience, communication. Beautiful. Kind, humor, forward thinking, good judgment, good people instincts, funny, kind, giving. Oh, this is so beautiful, ladies. I want you to keep typing these in. We're going to keep going to be respectful of your time, but keep typing this in. Oh, it's totally okay. Send this to everybody so everybody can see. Because it's so beautiful to finally be told what our strengths are, even though we don't feel like we have them constantly, right? All right. I am going to get right back at it, ladies. Oh, high emotional intelligence. Jessica, you are an absolute badass. You are level-headed in crisis. You handle, I'm going to censor that for the recording. You handle details well. Congratulations. That's a fun one. All right. Onward and upward. So this is one of my favorite examples of how we've done this for somebody in our own office. This is Nichole. And when she came to us, her biggest complaint was that she felt undervalued, underappreciated, and isolated. She's like, I know I have a lot to give. I know I'm really good at my job. I know I'm a people person. Why do I feel these things? And so despite her qualifications, she didn't feel like she could show up and be herself at work and be valued and appreciated for that person that she was, her natural way of being. And it was through these assessments and positive mirrors that she understood that she has this deep drive to connect with others. She needs deep emotional connection to her role, and that allows her to show up authentically. So we were able to help her find a job where she literally told me in an interview, she's like, I'm doing my soul's work. And she shows up fully aligned every single day and brings her whole self to the table. She even told me an anecdote where people were just sitting around and like eating lunch, and she was able to be a part of a conversation and feel like she could give her honest opinion and that everybody appreciated it. It was magical. Oh, you guys, I'm loving all these mirror strengths that are coming in. Keep that up. Okay. We are going to go right into step number 4. So what we've gone through so far, right, is we got your mindset, then we started talking about your commitment to your values, and then we wanted to add on your natural giftings. And so now what we're going to do is get into your, what I call ninja skills. Step number 4 is leverage your ninja skills so that nothing is wasted. So my question is this you? Because it was 100% me. I thought I had no transferable skills whatsoever. I'd only been on Wall Street. What was I going to do instead? So I would spend hours on job boards and LinkedIn, hoping that something would jump out at me, something that would resonate and announce itself. And then frankly, I was paralyzed thinking about starting my career from scratch. Type yes into the chat right now if you're like, if I do anything else, I'm going to have to start over. You are not alone, right? Everybody is afraid of having to start their career from absolute bottom scratch, completely over, right? And the biggest fear is that if you do make a change, right, nobody's going to want you, right? Because you don't have the experience or the credentials or the degree or whatever to be competitive with all the people who do, right? So if it's terrifying. It's really terrifying. Every single person I speak to is like, Tracy, I'm going to spend the time, the money, the energy, et cetera. I'm going to discover what my ideal career is. And then I'm going to come to the realization that no one's ever going to hire me, right? I don't have the experience. I don't have the certifications. I don't have the schooling. I'm going to have to go back to square one. And I can't afford to do that, frankly, right? It's walking away from your stable paycheck. Yes, yes. We just worked with a woman who was going through that exact same thing for the hopes that this is your ideal career. And nobody has a better example of this than me. I went from Wall Street and miserable. Like I would come home crying multiple days a week. And now my job is helping people find work they love. Like that didn't make any sense at the get-go. There was nothing transferable in my mind until I made this discovery. While I was on semester at sea, I met a woman who became one of the greatest mentors of my life. And she taught me this maxim, this nothing is wasted mindset. She said, listen, when you're faced with a transition or a choice, you have a mindset decision. You can either choose to see your previous experiences as wasted time because they don't make any sense to you going forward, or you can dig deeper into your experiences for the knowledge, the skills, and the expertise that are inherently transferable, that are environmentally agnostic, if you will, and you can choose to apply them going forward. But for most of us, we don't want to do that because it takes work, and it takes us looking back at our crappy jobs and our trauma and trying to drag value out of it. But that is the nothing is wasted mindset. It's looking at everything that we've done and pulling all the puzzle pieces that we can out of it so that nothing is wasted. No time is wasted. That was my biggest fear, right? Transitioning from Wall Street, I was like, I don't want to do finance. I don't want to be in banking. I have nothing in this industry that makes any sense to me anymore. I'm going to have to start my life over and completely from scratch. And what she helped me do was look at every single thing I've done in my life and figure out, what did you learn? Where can you bring value going forward? What did you learn? How can you bring value going forward? So that's what I'm going to walk you through right now. Your ninja skills are amazing. And they're your ninja skills because they're your transferable skills. They're the things that are unique to you because of your cumulative experiences. So you have to go back and look at your cumulative experiences to find them. So these are the 3 places where you can find your ninja skills. First, and probably most obvious, is going to be your previous work experience. Now, this can be paid jobs, your most recent jobs. It can be unpaid jobs like volunteering or things that you did when you were younger to get some quote experience, right? Then you want to look at your education. This is both formal and informal. So what did you learn from your schooling, your degrees, your certifications, et cetera? But then also, what have you learned in life? What sort of informal classrooms have you been a part of where you've learned great things like the nothing is wasted mindset that you can leverage going forward? And then the last one is my personal favorite. This is the one where we get really creative and a lot of people draw the most inspiration from is their life. What are your hobbies? What travel experiences have you had? What extracurricular activities do you do? Because those are the things that you do just because you want to, right? Remember when you were a little kid and you did stuff because you wanted to do it, not just because you had to do it or you got paid to do it. The things in your life that you still do because you enjoy doing them are huge sources of inspiration and insight. So this is my step-by-step process for figuring out what your transferable skills are. Okay. Number one, very simple. List out I would do this on 3 separate pieces of paper. List out all of your previous work, list out all of your previous education or current education, and then list out your major life experiences. So your big hobbies, your travel experiences, your volunteering or extracurriculars or anything like that, and just have 3 separate pages. And then I want you to go through each experience and you want to ask yourself these very specific questions. So number one, what did I enjoy the most about this experience? So you can say like your last job. What did I enjoy the most about my last job? Well, I hated Wall Street. What did I enjoy about it? I actually realized that I love working with smart people. I didn't like the job we were doing, but it was great to be surrounded by intelligent people. So I wrote that down, right? Then you want to ask yourself, what did I learn from this? These can be hard skills and soft skills. What did I learn from this? So my time on Wall Street, what did I learn? Well, I learned that I'm really not great in formal environments. Like I'm not a great quote employee who like wants to put on a suit every day. I felt like I was wearing my mom's clothes every day. So I learned that I need a less formal working environment. Now, did I think that existed? No, but it was important to me and it resonated with me. So I wrote it down, even though I wasn't really sure if it existed or not. Guess spoiler alert, it does. Next question, what can I use going forward? What can I use from this experience going forward? I learned really great Excel skills from that job. Do I want my job to be Excel all day long? Absolutely not. You guys could know that about me from like the first 5 minutes probably. But now when I try to build a model for my business, I actually know how to do it. I could leverage that skill going forward. And then the last question, this is our FGB, there's a typo there. Well, what do you know? What do I want to stretch towards? What do I want to stretch towards? This is a huge one for you ladies out there who think that like you're going to have to start from scratch. I guarantee you that there's something that you're already innately curious about, something that you already could go deeper into, you really sink your teeth into, you want to know more about. That is huge as far as insight. Okay. So this is my best example of someone we worked with recently. Her name was Allie. She was big on her privacy. So she did not want us to use her face. So that's why she's got this gorgeous little gray face. And the thing that she came to us with was that she was stuck and unclear around her professional value. She had lost track. She had lost a sense of vision for her goals because she had lost confidence in herself. She didn't even know really how she added value professionally anymore. She actually had a pretty good job, but she had been recently passed over for promotions and she was just lost and confused about why. So what we helped her do was analyze all of her previous experience. We pulled out expertise, we pulled out knowledge, we pulled out capabilities, we pulled out really tangible experiences that proved both to her and to the external world that she was already prepared, that she was already ready for the next step. And you guys will not believe this. She graduated from our program a couple months ago. So in the middle of the pandemic, she had 2 job offers at different companies that she pitted against one another. Both of them were leapfrogged positions over the one that she had been passed over for. So like 2 levels up, right? And she got a $14,000 raise in the process. And now she's at a company she loves with better benefits, getting paid more. And she finally has confidence in her value again. And all we had to do was go back into her previous experiences and help her see that those were valuable, that they had value in the professional world, right? I get it, girls. Yes. Okay. So let's recap. This is what we've gone through so far. Step 1 was no. We got to get your mindset right. Step 2 is your values. You got to commit to what you know you care about. And to do that, you have to know what you care about. Step number 3 was your nature. What are your gifts? What are your personality? What are your behaviors? And where does that fit seamlessly in the world? And then step 4 is your nurture. What are those skills, knowledge, expertise that you can bring with you that are valuable in the working world? These are the 4 steps. Now, all we have to do is step 5, claim your niche. When we put all these puzzle pieces together, that is what we call your professional niche. And step number 5 is claim it now before it is too late. Okay. Everything you've learned and experienced in your life has led you to the career that you're in right now, for better or worse. We are where we are because of our cumulative experiences and choices. And what we have to realize is that if you're struggling right now to figure out what you want to do, or have the courage to leave something that you don't love, you can't just like force this clarity on yourself. It's not just going to happen out of the clear blue sky just because you hope that it will. You're going to have to learn a completely new way of thinking to define work you love. And this is hugely important, but it's not very complicated. It's honestly just taking the three things that we just talked about, your now, which is your values, your nature, which is your gifts, your nurture, which is your skills, and finding this gorgeous middle nexus point that we call your niche, so that you love it because you value it, you're naturally good at it because it's in your nature, and you've had added value and knowledge and skills that make you even better at it than the average person. That's it. All of that is your professional niche. The rest is math. We want to take your mindset, and then we want to commit to your values, appreciate your natural gifts, leverage your skills, and then put the puzzle pieces together. So if you're taking notes, I am going to walk you through the step-by-step process to do this. This is how you put your puzzle pieces together. So first and foremost, you just want to choose one value from your now. So let's say you choose, I don't know, somebody give me a value, any value, personal value, type it into the chat. First come, first serve. Belonging, great. You love and want to feel belonging, and that's a value to you. Love it. So compare that to your gifts in your nature. Do you happen to be the type of person who makes other people feel like they belong? Is that a part of your personality set? Do you, are you comforting? Are you caring? Do you have a persuasive nature about you? Do you create families or home type of spaces? There's all different kinds of ways that your nature can overlap or accentuate the fact that you really deeply value belonging. Then you want to layer in any relevant skills you have from your previous work experiences. So maybe you've learned how to lead and grow a team of people who work together really cohesively. Or maybe you've had experience nurturing people who feel like they're on the outskirts and they don't belong anywhere. So maybe you've volunteered in a place where people feel isolated or alone. Maybe you've traveled to a place in the world where you've seen isolation and you've seen people who don't belong and the importance of belonging. Or you've traveled to a place where you're like, oh my God, these people take care of each other. This is really beautiful. This is a great experience. All of those relevant experiences you have will bring knowledge and skills and expertise to the table that will accentuate the now and nature that you've already put together. That's one component of your niche. That's it. And you just repeat that until you've gone through all of your core values. Now, I know that sounds oversimplified and we can talk about it in the Q&A, but that is the process. That's the recipe. It's now plus nature plus nurture equals your niche. And then when you have that success mindset, you really deeply believe in it. Okay. So this is a morning show I was on a while back talking about the career myth. The reason that this is important is because this mindset is going to require us to shift from the career myth, which is that our careers are going to move forward in a linear progression, right? It's that this happens and then this happens and then this happens. For me, it was like, okay, you're an analyst and then you're an associate and now you're a VP and then you're an MD or whatever. And what really happens in today's world is it's all over the place. There's no more linear progression career conveyor belt. Companies have shifted since '07, first and foremost, and technology has changed. And then now the world is remote. Who even knows, right? So we can't expect or hope for the promise of that linear progression. We have to continue to reevaluate our niche as professionals as we grow and evolve and as the world changes, right? So that at every step of the way, we know where we fit best in the professional world. The only reason that I have a leg to stand on when teaching this is that I've done all of this wrong. I've done all of this wrong. I had a job I hated and then I ran away and I, lived off of couches and there was one point in time where I worked at like a Lululemon. I was waiting tables. I was writing online textbook content. I was just cobbling a life together, right? I had no career direction. And I spent a lot of time and a lot of money trying to figure this out, just with the belief that I could get some type of clarity if I worked hard enough at it and I've spent enough time doing it. And I invested a bunch of money in training and coaching and all of that. And I thought I had figured it out. I really thought I had changed my mindset and I had really committed to this. But even I had to learn this the hard way. And this is me being really humble and falling on the sword here. The year before I started my own business, I got fired. And it was from a job that I took out of absolute fear. I thought I just wanted a paycheck and like dental insurance again. And it was a horrible fit for me. But it was the catalyst that I needed to start this business, to really take myself seriously, to really commit to my values, to start helping other people do the same thing so they could learn from my mistakes. And so now I run a business that helps people do that. So I'm living proof that today is the day that what you say you want has to be what you do, right? If you say you want something and you don't take action towards it, it's never going to happen on its own. Today is the day where I want you to claim your niche before it's too late. Okay. So here's what you need to win. These are the 5 steps. If you're keeping track, we've got the right mindset, commitment to your values, appreciation of your gifts, knowledge of your skills. I like to call those now, nature, and nurture, so that you can define your unique professional value added niche. This is how you go from stuck to unstoppable. This is how you live an unstoppable career, because at no point in time can anybody stop you when you're living in your best and highest profession. So now you have a choice, right? This is one of those webinar moments where, you could go left or right. This could be something fun that you watched that was helpful, but you never take action on, or it could be a turning point in your life where you decide, no longer am I going to live the same way I've been living in my career. I'm going to actually take the time to discover my niche. I'm going to find clarity for myself, and I'm going to live that life. I invite you to do this process on your own. But if you've resonated with me and how I've taken you through this process, then I have a couple freebies for you. So freebie number 1 is that discovering your ideal career comes from doing, not from thinking, meaning you have to take action. So here's how I can help if you want us to help you. My team and I have set aside time so we can speak to you personally about these ideas, right? What's going on in your career today. And I promise you, I've spoken personally to over 400 people. I know my team is growing in that number. So whatever you're going through, we've seen it. And I want to offer you a free session with us. It's 50 minutes long. It's absolutely free. But in that session, we'll discover what's keeping you stuck in your career. We'll determine the next best steps for your future. We can even walk through some of these steps that we've gone through today. And we'll just decide if we're a good fit to work together, right? And for now, it's 100% for free, but we have a very limited number of these slots. So I want you to know who this is for. You have to be determined to have a more fulfilling, better paying career. I know that that's probably not a lot to ask of you ladies. You have to be outstanding at doing what you say you're going to do. You have to show up, because these results are guaranteed, but only if you show up. And you have to be committed and resourceful and decisive. Okay. That's who this call is for. But if this is you, book a session, right? This is how you can do it. Go to tracytim.com/clarity. It's first come, first serve. We've got about 20 to 30 slots available, I believe. And there's about 180 people on this call. So go there now, book your session, tracytim.com/clarity. If you're a QR gal, there's a QR code right there for you. What you're going to do is type in your name and email, select a date and time for your conversation with us. Again, this is totally free. It's 50 minutes long. It's there to serve you, but it's also there to figure out if we can help you through this process. You'll have a very short career assessment, and then you'll have your time on the calendar. And we have them starting as soon as tomorrow morning. Okay. So if that's interesting to you, please feel free to book it. If you're a little unsure still and you just want some freebies from me, I have another freebie for you. We have a career clarity during crisis guide or worksheet. It literally will walk you through the 5 steps that we've gone through today. Okay. So page 1 is the mindset. Page 2 is your values. Page 3 is your nature. Page 4 is your experiences. And then page 5 is how to define your niche. Okay. So if you've been following along, but maybe you're like, oh, Tracy, I don't know if I took good enough notes, go to this website, tracytim.lpages.co/crisis. Put in your name and email. We'll get that guide sent out to you, and you can go through that process again on your own, or you can go through it and then call us. So Sam, I'm so grateful to have been here. I have the free guide, the QR code on the left for the free guide, QR code on the right for your call. And then their websites are below, and you guys can please feel free with me. Oh, so tracytim.com/clarity, no HTTP. Try again. It happens sometimes. Or scan the QR code if that helps you. That might work too. And then if it doesn't work, please feel free to email me and I'll send it to you personally. Here you go. Okay, let's do Q&A. I'm excited.
We only have time for about 1 question. So if I don't answer yours, feel free to find Tracy. She's always on Fairygodboss. And so I'm sure she'll be floating around along with our other great community of VIPs and other members who could definitely give you their own advice. But 1 question here that I liked is, how long should we allow for this whole process to take place. And, should we be putting ourselves in a deadline? This person has been employed and they feel like they've been doing this whole process, but they kind of are starting to feel the pressure of, I need to figure it out a little bit quicker.
I love this question. Okay, so when we work our clients through it, we hold them accountable to a 30-day clarity breakthrough process. So we give them basically one exercise in each of these areas per day that takes somewhere around an hour on the short end to an hour and a half to 2 hours on the higher end during each work day. And you should be done in about a cohesive 30-day period. Um, I, the fastest I've ever done this with people is 3 days. We used to hold workshops where we would just get through it really quickly, and you can do that. If you're the type of person though that likes to sit and let things marinate, like say this is the first time you've looked at your values in a while, or you want to take several assessments and that's going to take some time to get feedback, or you want to reach out to a lot of people, then yeah, I think you could certainly do this in a matter of days, but I would give yourself a 30-day deadline. I would. And I would say, how much clarity can I get in 30 days? Maybe challenge yourself. How much clarity can I get before the end of the year if you have the time? Or make January, your time period where you're like, this is what I'm going to commit to for those 31 days in January.
Awesome. I also see a lot of questions asking about the links. We will include all of those links along with a recording of today's session in an email that will be sent straight to you by this afternoon whenever the recording downloads. So be on the lookout for that. You'll have it all in your inbox. So you don't have to worry about it right now. You'll be able to find all of that directly later this afternoon. But I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So thank you first to Tracy for a wonderful and engaging presentation. I think we all learned a lot today. And thank you to everybody who spent the last hour with us. We really appreciate you spending your time here. Tracy, do you have any last thoughts before I end things?
Oh, ladies, I'm so grateful that you've all been here with me on this journey. And if you have questions, I know there are more questions in the chat. I have nothing to do for the next little while. I've booked out some time. So please come find me on LinkedIn. We can start chatting there. I've put my email address in the chat as well. So please feel free to reach out via email. If any of the links, like I said, aren't functioning properly, please just communicate with me directly and I'm more than happy to get you to the right place. So I am here, I'm a resource, and I'm so grateful to have all of you here with me. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. If this was your last FGB webinar of the year, thank you so much. We'll see you in 2021. And if you're attending tomorrow's, I'll see you then. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye.